Yo, what the heck is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Kind of Funny Xcast, your home for all things Xbox. Here at Kind of Funny, of course, I'm one of your show hosts, Snowbike Mike, and today I am joined by one of my gaming dads, the coolest dude here on planet Earth, bringing you all the video game coverage you need to know about. My guy, Parris Lilly. Parris, how are you?
I'm good. I'm the second coolest because Gary's always number one. I miss Gary.
He is number one, and I know the audience misses him. We miss him a lot. He's very busy, and I think we will see him very soon. I promise you on that one. But, yeah, it's been nice. I played golf with him recently, Parris, and you know what? Gary's good at golf. He's got game.
Surprised.
He's got
I'm
game.
not surprised.
Man, he tells you some stories on the golf course, and you're like, God, Gary, you're the coolest. What a cool life you've had. You know what I mean? He's the best. Good dude. Parris, it's great to see you. How have you been? What you been up to lately?
I'm good, man. Doing really good. Been playing some games that I'm sure we'll talk about here on the episode.
Good.
But I'm still not over it, Mike.
I'm not
over it. I'm not over that Laker. The game one, whatever. That game two, it took a part of my soul.
Oh,
it took a part of my soul. I'm not over it. I could not believe that. We're up 20 in that third quarter, and I look over to my son and I go, "Oh, we going to game 3 or 4? We're gonna go. I'm gonna drop the cash. We're going to the crib. We're gonna be there." Oh my God, I was ready. I was like, they finally figured it out. They're gonna break it. This is great. And then Nuggets started chipping away.
Yep.
And then I'm like, all right, just keep it about 10, 12 points going into the fourth quarter, but we'll be all right. I'm like, we'll be okay. It was 10, I think it was 10 points going into the fourth quarter. And then I'm just watching it happen in real time. And I'm like, I can't believe it. They're gonna come back and win. They're gonna win. I knew it. Like deep down, I knew it. I knew it was gonna happen. And LeBron had like the 1 3-point play, and I'm thinking, oh, okay, D'Lo got to the cup and had a lay-in. I'm screaming at the beginning of the fourth quarter, why the hell is AD not in there? I don't care if he has 4 fouls. They can't stop Jokic. Jokic is just doing whatever he wants.
Whatever he wants.
Whatever he wanted. And then, right on cue, Mike, right on cue, last couple of minutes, Jamal effing Murray did what Jamal effing Murray does to the Lakers in the playoffs, and he just sliced and diced us. And I knew it. When LeBron took that 3 with 13 seconds left, I go, oh, he's going to come down and hit the game-winning shot. I knew it.
Yep.
I literally knew it. And that's exactly what he did. I just stood up. I looked at my wife. I looked at my son. And I went to bed. I literally went to bed. I was like, I don't want to talk to nobody. I got nothing. I didn't watch the sports, nothing the next day. And I don't want to hear what Skip had to say, Steven. I want nothing. It is just today I'm finally a little bit kind of paying attention to what's been going on. I'm sick.
Oh, Parris,
I'm sick.
You should be sick. You should. I mean, there's so many things I want to talk to you about because, yeah, you know, I think of you and the son getting excited to go down to the crypt and see 3 and 4. And I'm like, oh, man, like they're playing so well in Denver. And like there's positives. They kept it close. And like maybe, but then like you just look, you go back to that final 12 seconds and it's the backbreaker. And you feel it like, there's no way. They're going to come to L.A. and they're going to finish this team, and it's not going to be worth the trip to go down to downtown L.A.
Yeah, I started having hope. Look, there's no way in hell I'm going now. I am not going to watch them get swept.
Nope.
Not doing it.
Not
there's
at
no
all.
way I'm doing it. And, you know, and I know we're going to move into video games, but the other part of it that just cut me deep, AD was cooking.
Oh.
Like they couldn't do Jokic. They couldn't do nothing with AD. They couldn't do nothing with him. I'm like, oh my God. I was like, oh, we got this. D'Lo came out hitting 3. I was like, oh, this is it.
Do you? I mean,
I don't even know what they can. I don't even know what they can do. I don't know. I'm a broken man today as a Lakers fan because I have no idea how to crack the code of the Denver Nuggets. Zero.
They would have had a much better time and a better chance against OKC. You know, I know OKC is the young 1 seed, but like LeBron and the boys against OKC, we got a different story. This team getting the 7th seed and having to go up against the defending champs Nuggets, who are all healthy, all playing well. It's like, oh, what a straw to draw right there. That's a tough one.
It's just a thing of, sorry, folks, I know we're doing basketball talk, but it's just a thing of, I look at Jokic and Murray, and they're the best duo in the league right now. Murray is extremely underrated. Like I love the Nuggets. I actually think they're a great team, so it's not even a hater thing. I respect the Nuggets. They're a great team, very well coached, and I just look at Jokic And that dude is, I forget who said it a couple years ago, but he's Burduckin. He's Larry Bird and Tim Duncan all together. A 7-footer who, like he said, he can't even jump over a curb. But you can't do nothing with him. You cannot do anything with this dude. He can make any shot he needs to make, he can make. His IQ is off the charts. It's ridiculous. He's a rebound. He does everything. And then Murray is just such a clutch guy. When you need a shot made, Murray comes out of nowhere and makes that shot. It's crazy.
What an incredible shot. It was poetry in motion. We get to see that a lot in sports, of these incredible moments slowed down. And he comes off that screen on the right-hand side. He looks up. It's the 7-footer AD in front of him. And he says in the postgame, I was going to get to my spot before him, and I knew I had it. And it's like, there it was. He got 2 steps ahead of him. He rised up, and it was like, oh, it's beautiful,
Yeah.
How cool.
You know, it's funny, Mike. You just said what he said in the postgame. That's the first time I heard that because I didn't watch nothing.
Oh,
I would have been.
You knew when Jamal Murray turned that corner and saw AD, he said, I'm about to get all over this guy. Watch this, But enough of the sports talk. We got to check in with our LA Lakers and, of course, Parris Lilly. Anytime playoff basketball is happening, make sure to tune in because, Parris, you and I, and Gary, of course, we've gotten to bond over video games and sports. And it's always these special times of year where it's like, oh, it's happening, right? NHL playoffs and NBA playoffs are both happening right now. You have the start of the MLB going on right now. You have soccer returning to the States for the summer season. Like, it's just a happening time. Get out there, enjoy some sports, have some fun in the sun, y'all, because now is a perfect time.
I got one other programming note before we jump into it official. So I finally, after a couple decades, I cut the cord officially. I got rid of DirecTV.
I saw you do that.
I'm on YouTube TV now. I got my streaming apps. I'm good. Okay. I'm never going back. This is perfect. It has everything I need.
That's crazy, Parris.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. And now you're happy. Is the family happy?
And that's
the big part.
Clearly been the hang up for the longest. I had to finally get the final approval on it. And the thing was, her shows are available on YouTube TV. And the only thing that I'm missing is, because I don't get Spectrum Sports now for the Lakers, but you can still get it through the Spectrum app. So I still be able to get the local Laker games when they're blacked out on like TNT or ESPN or whatever. But yeah, other than that, I'm good. I got everything. Sunday tickets are already on YouTube. I did that already. That worked just fine. I'm good. Everything I need is all on streaming now. So there's no need for cable, DirecTV, satellite, none of that stuff. And I'm saving money. That's the best part. I
love saving money. We love talking about that. We're Game Pass cheerleaders over here at the Xcast. We love saving money. We love talking about that. So I'm happy for you, Parris. As someone who has always thought, man, cutting the cord, I don't know if I'm ready for that. And there's so many apps now. It must be the move, Parris. It's got to be the move. Is right, big dog. Let's jump into some fun gaming talk because, of course, this is the Kind of Funny Xcast. We post each and every Thursday at 6 a.m. West Coast, Best Coast time on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames and, of course, on podcast services around the globe. Me and Parris want to take a quick moment. Just thank each and every one of you for tuning in, giving us your time, being a part of the conversation, and supporting us here at Kind of Funny and on the Kind of Funny Xcast. We love your support. We appreciate you coming on and giving us a chance, talking a little bit of green, and talking about some Xbox games here at Kind of Funny. It's been a total good time, so thank you all for your support. Of course, if you like what we do, don't forget you can support us with the brand new Kind of Funny membership available over on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames and, of course, on Patreon, where you can get the very best of Kind of Funny for just $10. You'll be able to watch our shows live as we record them. You'll get all of our shows ad-free, and you'll get daily exclusive content brought to you by Greg Miller with his daily exclusive vlog series. You don't want to miss out. So thank you all so much. And if you like what we do, think about coming over and supporting us. Of course, we like to thank those who support us, just like our Patreon producers for the month, Delaney Twining, Kieran, Hovo Sapien, and Carl Jacobs. Thank you so much for your support. This week, the Kind of Funny Xcast is brought to you by the Kind of Funny membership. So me and the team will tell you all about that in just a little bit. Parris, let's kick off the show with a dope one, okay? X-Men is back, okay? Everybody's talking about the crew in blue and yellow, and I'll tell you what, X-Men 97's been red hot. And Xbox is now teaming up to bring you something even hotter. They have a very special sweepstakes going on right now. You can celebrate X-Men 97 with a custom comic Xbox Series X and controllers in the awesome, what do we call that? Toy box? What are we calling that, Parris?
Yeah, I call that the Toys R Us special.
The action figure box is right.
There you go.
Oh my gosh. The wrap is unbelievable.
That's one I wouldn't even want to open, Mike.
That's the issue, Parris,
Yes.
because we're going to talk about this. I don't want to open I want the one with Rogue on the back, and I just want it in the case the whole time. It's like getting the collectible toy, and you never want to break it out of the seal. That's what's going to happen with all of this right here. And so, Parris, of course, we have the big X-Men 97 celebration with Xbox. They have a sweepstakes going on right now over on Twitter where you can get involved and win this sweet sweepstakes prize. Parris, we're seeing the controllers up right now for all of you watching over on YouTube. You can see they have a number of Xbox characters themed around controllers, wrapped up in the awesome action figure wrap that you so well know with the cardboard back. Parris, this is a dope collab.
Oh, 1000% it is. Just on X-Men 97 itself, phenomenal. It has far exceeded my expectations of what I thought it was going to be when it came back. And so much so, I think this is the best Marvel content they've had since Endgame, in my personal opinion. I know some other people might disagree, but it's just been that good. Couple that with, we had the Deadpool Wolverine trailer just come out. The X-Men are back, baby. I'm ready. I'm ready for more X-Men content. But speaking specifically on this, when I saw, the Xbox put this out a couple days ago, this is dope. I want all of it. I want all those controllers. And like you said, more as a collector, I would love to have it. I would not want to open that packaging at all. To see the Xbox Series X theme console as well looks fantastic. And I know you can, I guess you can create these controllers in Design Lab, which is great. But I have a nitpick.
Okay.
A tiny nitpick.
Tell me.
I love that. Okay, you're doing the contest. People can win it. That's great. You got to have a limited run on these and let people buy them.
Got to sell these. Got to team up with Marvel and Disney and sell these.
Because here's the thing. If those controllers and that console was on sale, I'm buying one. 100%. I'm going to buy a couple of those controllers and I'm buying that console because I would want that. I would want that in my home. I would want that on display. I mean, at a minimum, they should be doing the console cover wrap on it. Something.
What's up with those console cover wraps? Why aren't we doing more of those, Parris? We got the ball rolling, then we slowed down. Let's get this thing going,
My only guess on that is maybe they didn't sell that well. I mean, I don't know. You would think
they came out with some generic colors, right? It was kind of, they had the Starfield one, which I thought looked the best. We received 3 from Team Xbox. Yeah. We had the mineral camo, we had the Arctic camo, and we had the Starfield one. The Starfield one was very nice, but the other two, I think camo's a tough sell. Maybe it's just me and my personal preference, but I don't think camo's the hotness. I'm surprised that was the 2.
You would think, and we'll obviously see here in less than 30 days, I would, with every major release that they have, maybe there's a Hellblade 2 one, maybe there's an Avowed one that's coming, stuff like that. Maybe they're doing that. We'll obviously see when the time comes. But yeah, if there is at a minimum that X-Men cover and just a limited run, for people that would be interested in it, 100% I'm buying that. And like I said, if it was the full-on console, I am buying that. I would want that. I mean, at least you can make the controllers in Design Lab. But again, I would want that packaging to go with it as well. That's a part of it. So
yeah, I think that's the whole catch is the packaging is right, Parris. Yeah. That's what grabs you is the nostalgia of having that action figure on the cardboard case, right? And so if you enter the sweepstakes, you will be entered in to win that Xbox Series X with the special wrap of the X-Men comic, which is totally dope looking, and then the Wolverine on the cardboard. Everything else is just, I think, marketing material to show you can come to the Xbox Design Lab and, design controllers just like this, which is cool.
I would love to see them at a minimum gauge interest on, hey, if we were to have a limited run of these for sale, how many of you would be interested? Because again, I understand there's manufacturing costs, all that. You can't just one off these things. It would have to meet a certain number for it to make financial sense to create these, right? I understand that. You can't tell me if they were to put that out there that they're not going to get hundreds of thousands, if not 1 million people going, yep, I would go buy that. at least the controller, you know what I mean, in the console as well. But I think there would be sufficient enough interest in this to get a limited run. Maybe you don't get it for a few months. Maybe it's by this fall by the time they'd be out. But I say if you were to gauge interest now, there would be demand for this. Absolutely.
Which one is your favorite out of all the characters that they got? They got Wolverine, Beast, Gambit, Morph, Jubilee, Bishop, Rogue, Cyclops, Storm, Magneto, Jean Grey. Do you have a favorite that stands out to you on this lineup?
I'm a Wolverine guy, but my favorite of that controller is the Magneto one.
Magneto's
okay.
hot, the red and purple.
Yeah,
that
the
red,
one
yeah.
I say I'm a little disappointed in, but I understand the idea behind it is the Gambit one. Because I feel like they prioritize his like trench coat feel for the base color, and it just doesn't pop as much as I would think like a Gambit controller should, you know?
Yeah.
And let's keep it real. The Jubilee one, that pink one,
Pops.
that's flying off the shelves.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, I like Rogue, and my second one is Storm. I really like that white. They all look very cool. But yeah, the selling point is the packaging, right? It has to be on the package. It's not just buying the colorway, which is cool, but you can create all of these in Design Lab. It's the packaging is what we all want as fans. But you know what? Shout out to that team because that's an awesome collab, and that is a really fun one. I bet you in that room, they were smiling from ear to ear, laughing, coming up with all these designs. It must have been so cool. What an awesome collab on that one. And maybe one of you lucky listeners out there will win it. So make sure to go sign up and join the sweepstakes. Parris, in your life, have you ever won a sweepstakes before? You ever won big before? A radio call-in? Anything
Not
like that?
Big. The only sweepstakes that I won actually was Xbox. It was gaming. Back in 2006, they had a contest for people to go to the Gears of War launch in Hollywood, and I entered and I won and I got to go. And 0 Hour. Zero Hour was another one. But yeah, so hey, look, it's all Xbox. Other than that, I haven't won anything. Both times it was Xbox.
Okay, I like that. I had some friends. I don't know if it was a Taco Bell one or there was some sweepstakes where you could win the solid gold Xbox, the all gold Xbox. I had some friends win that I remember, and I thought that was so cool. That was awesome.
A good friend of mine did win the Taco Bell one for the Xbox when they did that
with
one.
The bell? With the bell
yeah.
when you turn it on? How cool was that? Come on, man. We got to get more of these Xbox. We got to let these things rip. We got to get the covers. I agree with you, Parris. I think it will be interesting to see now that we have more first-party games out. What are the tie-ins? Do we see more of these wraps? Also, you're right around the corner, quote-unquote, from the next, series, whatever the console is. Are we slowing down on that? Maybe that's why we don't see so much, but it is interesting. I'm looking for more of these. I want to see more.
Yeah, absolutely.
Parris, we got a fun day today. As many of you know, it's a slow week. I think everybody's gearing up for Hellblade 2. We're getting ready for all the marketing to go into Summer Game Fest and the big Xbox showcase. So it's another slow week of news. And so me and Parris asked you all to write in with your viewer questions, comments, concerns, your hopes and dreams for the future of Xbox. So today's show is all dedicated to you, the viewers and best friends out there. So thank you so much for writing in. We're going to get to viewer questions right after I ask you what you've been playing lately, Parris, because I know you got a bone to pick here. You got a bone to pick.
Yeah, I'm going to save the bone, and I'm going to start with, because I've only played a couple hours, but Xbox did send me an early preview code for Manor Lords, I never say it right. The medieval city builder. It is, I believe it's early access. I believe it's going to be available on April 26th. I do know it's going to be on PC Game Pass, and I don't know if the console's right away or if that's later, but I know there's eventually going to be a console version of it as well. Like I said, I've only played for a few hours so far, and it is definitely early access, a little rough around the edges, but that's the point of early access for games like that. But yeah, it is a city builder, also has RTS aspects to it. You can build armies, you got to take care, of the people in the city. It's good. If you're into RTS, if you're into city builders, graphically, like I said, you can tell that, they're still working on that, improving that. It's good, not the absolute best, but it's decent. But I can see the appeal for sure. I am Obviously, we talk about it all the time. I love games like Age of Empires. I love city builders like SimCity as well. So to kind of combine those two into one, definitely can see the appeal for it. See how it evolves with feedback during early access, and we'll go from there. But I do appreciate Xbox sending over the code, and I will slowly but surely be diving into this over the weeks and months.
Okay, good. Yeah, I want to talk to you about this as you progress through because, yeah, you know me, I love Age of Empires, and I'm digging what you're putting down of like a medieval city builder. And I guess my mind goes to Age of Empires kind of more on the competitive side. It always, in Age of Empires, it is a RTS. We are strategizing against one another. But then I think of games like Anno 1800 or whatever its full name really is, but like more of a city builder of like, hey, it's Tropico. I'm going to build a city and it's going to progress and grow. What is the blend here? Is it combat centric where I really have to push to beat it? Or is it, no, Mike, like take your time. We're going to build a big city and kind of just slow down and relax?
Like I said, I'm early into it, so I don't feel any pressure like I need to defeat it. Now, you can build up your armies and you can go on the attack, things like that. But it does so far feel more like a, hey, let me take my time with this. Let me build up. Let me get my resources going. Let me get my troops together. Let me take care of the people in town like that. I think that's probably going to be the appeal of it is you can play it either way.
Okay.
If you want to go all in and you want to get into the combat and be this conqueror and have your armies taking over things, you can do that. If you want to slow down and do it more of the SimCity style, building out your city, be more resource minded, things like that. I think you can do both. But it'll be interesting. Like I said, I'm super early in it, so that could change over the weeks and months as I continue to play it.
I might get a hold of this. Yeah, I like this.
Yeah, it's a PC Game Pass.
Okay.
So you can definitely be able to jump in right away on the 26th. But like I said, this is early access. It's a game preview. So people need to be mindful of that. It's not going to be perfect. But again, when we think about a Hades 2, when we think about a No Rest for the Wicked that are early access, which we know are going to eventually be these great games, but this is the point of early access. I mean, think about it. The game of the year for 2023 was an early access game. That was Baldur's Gate 3.
Ooh.
So that's the point.
Oh, I thought it was Tears of the Kingdom.
Well, not for everybody, okay?
Not for everybody, he says. Not for everybody. Okay.
Well, I'm going to look back at what you voted in for kind of.
What did he vote in? What would you vote in, Parris?
What did I put for game of the year? You know what? That is a good question.
He's going to look it up. I put only up.
I think yours might have been Alan Wake 2, Parris.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I was going to say, I'm pretty sure I didn't do Baldur's Gate 3 or Tears of the Kingdom. Yeah, it was probably Alan Wake 2. Yeah.
But I just want to see what you had above the other, Let's see. 2023, I saved it all very conveniently.
Yeah.
Let's see. Number 1, Alan Wake 2.
Yeah.
Number 2, Tears of the Kingdom.
Boom.
There you go.
He's a Zelda guy.
Let me see. Oh, interesting. No Baldur's Gate.
But to be fair, I barely played Baldur's Gate 3. I didn't even really start playing until the Xbox version came out. So that's probably why.
I'm going to put down Manor Lords on my list. I thought I saw Bruce Green streaming it, and I think maybe you could like name your villagers or like in the household name people. Love that. Always love that. So that's cool. I'm going to put that down. Thanks, Parris, for putting that on my radar. What else you got?
So the one where I said I have a nitpick, it's not really a nitpick. It was more of a thing of I really wish I could have been in the overall kind of funny discussion that you had on Gamescast. And that's I can't even talk. Tales of Kanzara Zhao. For me, this was a 4 out of 5 game. I really loved it. I connected deeply with the story because it is about a father, a son. It's about dealing with grief. Like Blessing was talking about how it's basically just your classic Metroidvania, right? It's not doing anything out of the ordinary or special. I guess I was okay with that because coming from Surgent Studios, being their first game, looking at this more as an indie title, even though it was an EA original, I wasn't expecting them to reinvent the wheel. I was more invested in the story that was being told and the beautiful set pieces, and the boss battles were outstanding in this game. That was kind of the hook for me. I was surprised that Greg didn't connect with it more. But again, obviously everyone's entitled to their own opinion, and I appreciate that and respect it. I do think it just would have been a fascinating conversation if the three of us had been on the review together and talked through it. Because like I said, I did get that emotional hook from the story, from what Zhao was going through and dealing with the death of his father. And maybe it just comes from more of a personal aspect, because I did lose my mother a couple years ago. So that was always in the back of my head as I'm playing this game and as I'm thinking about it, because you always have that, what if, did I say enough? Did I do enough? That regret, did she know how much I loved her, kind of thing. And Zhao is obviously going through that in this game. I mean, he's literally talking to the spirit of death. Well, again, I don't want to spoil anything, but basically the death is with him the entire time, and the conversations that they were having and the encounters and the characters that he's meeting along the way. Some of them were very touching. They really were. And like I said, again, the boss battles, I thought they were outstanding. I had a lot of fun with those. To me, it wasn't overly difficult. There was enough challenge there that kept me going. And I do agree with Blessing in the aspect of, sure, the mask that you pick up, the sun and the moon, and the different powers and skills that you're going, they're not doing anything super special. And that's why I defaulted to 4 out of 5, where I thought the story itself, for me, from an emotional standpoint, could have been a 5 out of 5. But the actual gameplay of the Metrovania, like I said, it didn't do anything special. It was pretty standard. And to the point, because I know even Tim was talking about this, you're coming off of Prince of Persia earlier in the year. If you are comparing it to that, I understand, because that was phenomenal. And that was doing some things from a gameplay standpoint that Zhao simply was not doing. But I enjoyed it for what it is. It's a $20 game. It's coming from an indie studio. It was a passion project for Abu. Yeah, it was a 4 out of 5 for me. It's something that I am recommending to people that I think people need to experience. Not to mention, just again, from my own personal standpoint, this is a game that is highlighting African mythology, African culture. We don't see that enough. That, to me, is another thing where, okay, people that aren't hyper aware, that maybe this can interest them in it to want to go learn even more about it. Like I said, being a first entry from Surgent Studios, what the theme of it was, what the backdrop of this world was, being in African lore, African culture. Yeah, I thought it was great. I personally recommend it, that I think people should go check it out. Again, it's $20. You can play it on Xbox, you can play it on PC, PlayStation, etc. Matter of fact, if you play it on PlayStation as part of PS Plus, I believe on the extra tier or something like that. So yeah, definitely recommend. I would love to see people go check it out and see what they think.
Oh, I'm so glad you're here. You and I can talk about that and say that, because I thought Blessing did a great job covering the story and really talking about that. And I think, Greg said his points on that. And I implore everybody, go check out the Gamescast. We did a big review of like 5 different games. It was awesome to be able to cover so many games and have everybody's different points of view on certain things. But it's great to sit down with you, because, of course, we did have the interview with Abu, and it was a lot of fun of like getting to have that conversation and hearing the background of what the culture is going to be in the storytelling. I was sold. I'm very excited about this, Parris. I can't wait to dedicate some time and jump in. And I think for me, coming off of Prince of Persia, it's like, oh, I want more of this. I'm in for more of the Metroid vibes.
And I think that's how I was looking at it, where, look, Prince of Persia is 5 out of 5. I think we all agree on that. And you did want more of it. And this felt like more of it. Was it as good? No. But it was good enough, in my personal opinion, to where I appreciated the experience that I had. And again, it's like a 9-10 hour game, and people will be able to go back, do speed runs through it. There are certain collectibles and that's one thing I do agree with Greg about. Whereas, do I necessarily have the urge to want to go back and grab some of that extra stuff beyond just doing it for a trophy or an achievement? Not necessarily, being up front, but as a $20 one-time through experience of that story, I really enjoyed it. Will I go back and play it multiple times? I mean, I'm just being honest. I don't necessarily know if I will. Maybe I will revisit it at some point. Again, some of those boss battles, I definitely would like to try again. But I think part of the appeal of those boss battles was figuring it out. But once you figure it out, you're able to get through it, without too much effort. So do I want to do it again, knowing the patterns and everything that I need to do to complete it? I don't know. But I appreciated the story. I really, really appreciated the story, because it's something that we don't talk enough about, especially in video game stories, is dealing with grief. And like I said, I just think on a personal note, it is something that I've had to go through over the past few years. So it really did grab me. I thought it was very touching.
Nice. EA Originals, nice little shout out of like EA spotlighting this, supporting this, and helping that. Like, I like that. You know what I mean? I think these big publishers and developers should be looking towards those indie games and saying, hey, how do we help? How do we spotlight that? And having an EA Original title next to your name gets you that much more, right? Like, I think that's a big help, and that's a positive right there. So
and that's the other part of it, too. And look, I am very biased. I'm just being upfront about that. It being an indie game coming, their first game coming from Surgent Studios. It is a people of color led studio telling from their point of view, their culture, the whole thing. I personally, obviously being a black man myself, we don't see enough of that. So yeah, you're damn right I'm going to be biased about that because I want to see more of that. And I thought this was a good enough, great experience that I want to see more people be able to have that experience. And like I said, maybe learn something. Maybe it's going to pique your interest to want to know more about African culture. We've talked about this in the past, like even the phenomenon that the Black Panther movie was as well. That's why I hope when the Black Panther game comes out, it can do something similar as well. So yeah, I'm biased. I will fully admit that. I raise my hand on that, but it's a good game. I think it's a good game, regardless of that. And like I said, the other thing, because I jokingly said this during the week, Abu going, like, if there was a gaming podcast, YouTube channel, website, Tin Can in the String, Pony Express, Abu was there. He was there. And you got to respect and appreciate that hustle that he was making sure the world knew about this game. And obviously coming off of his very heartfelt speech during the Game Awards, I was just very happy to see it. I was happy to see the praise and the congratulations and everything that he's been getting over the past couple of days, and all these hardworking people over at Surgent have been getting to make this game. Because what do we talk about all the time? Support indie devs. I mean, obviously, kind of funny. This is what I want to say you, but I guess it's we. It's what we do, right? We support indie games and we talk about indie games. You want to see them get the spotlight, and yeah, you're damn right. I'm waving the flag on this game because I want to see more people experience it and talk about it, and obviously, make up their own minds once they play it. So I'll stop talking about it. I'll get off the pulpit.
That's great, Parris.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
I hope to see that team in the future. I think that's the big positive. It's coming out in a positive
light. I'm excited
to
see what they do next.
Yeah, exactly. People are talking about that. You have the EA Original to help all this. It's like, this is a big moment of like, that team's going to have another chance, which is a big deal. Because we talk about this, you and I, of like, if you miss, you might not get another chance. And this team delivered, and it looks like they will. So that will be exciting to see what happens in the future with all of them. And I look forward to that because that's a great dude and a great team, it seems like. So that's positive. Parris, let me tell you about tennis, because that's what I've been playing all week. Of course, you can catch the full review over on Kind of Funny Games Cast for both of these games, and I gave my full thoughts on tennis over there. But since it's me and Parris, and we're talking, Parris, I played Top Spin 2K25. I played a lot of it. It is a good swing, but not an ace, is what I would call that. It's a 3 out of 5. It's just a bare bones, straight to the point tennis game. And I think that's the tough part about tennis as a sport in general, is it is straight to the point. You don't really get out of the lines of the tennis court and be able to do new and different things. And I guess that's what I was looking for, Parris, is a little more fun out of the game. And I think that's where they struggled, was bringing the fun and creativity to such a die-hard, straight-to-the-point tennis sim, which I think they nailed that part of it. If you were looking for a true-to-life tennis sim where you're going to get better and you're going to grow as a player with your strategic moves, this is it. But if you're looking for a fun tennis game where you and I can sit on the couch and go, Mike, I've never played this. Oh, here's a controller like FIFA and NBA where you're just figure it out. This is not that game. This game is not that, unfortunately. It's not welcoming and approachable, and it just doesn't have the fun that I would want. And I think that goes a little bit towards the tennis sport itself. It's probably tough to come up with training drills that can be fun and out of the way when you think of what tennis is really confined to. But the team delivered on a tennis sim, but not a fun tennis experience, and I wish that's what it was. But you know what? Put a lot of time into Parris. I grew a lot. I've learned a lot more about the sport, which is surprising. They had John McEnroe on the tutorial, which I love that, Parris. I think all sports games should find a way to have their superstars be the voices of this, right? I think of NHL Academy, and they had Carlin from the LA Kings. She was the voice of that. Then they had pro players from different sports like Xavier Woods with WWE. It's like, have the faces, the people, the personalities come and be the voice. Don't give me some AI voice. Don't give me Susie from down the hall, which, hey, Susie, you did a great job. I appreciate you if you hear this, but like, get your superstars, because that's what I want to be drawn into. And so I want to give them some credit on that one. And it's fun to learn the sport. I wish they had a moments where I could learn more about tennis history like we see with MLB The Show and 2K and Madden, where you have these fun, like, hey, this was a big tennis match. This was important due to the history and the sport and the time period. Like, I am surprised they didn't deliver on that, but I'm sure after 13 years of not bringing a tennis game to the world, it was probably like, you get X, just make X, and let's see if it even resonates with people. So we'll see if we get another tennis game, but you know what? You get a partial thumbs up from me. Partial thumbs up.
So question, because I do admit I am ignorant on this game. Multiplayer. I assume multiplayer's in the game, correct?
Yeah, so it's a little minimal right now. Of course, on the local play, big positive is you can play 4 players on the couch. Yeah. So that is a must-have. That's a win in my book. On the other side, multiplayer right now is just confined to 1v1. There is not doubles, so you will not play 4-player multiplayer quite yet. But they do have a big kind of, I don't want to call it robust, but they have 2 sections of multiplayer. They have play as a pro, and you can rise up the leaderboards, or you will bring my player into weekly tournaments. Right. And so I thought that was fun. Unfortunately for 2K and the way of the world, the moment I jumped into games, Parris, you're just hit with a giant banner that says bad internet connection. And I'm like, oh, it's just like 2K basketball, where you come off of single player on the same hardware and how good that feels to, oh, this feels slowed down. It's the connection's not quite right.
Yeah, and that's why I brought it up, because the OG top spin back in the day, that was the problem with multiplayer. You would play offline, it would feel more fluid, and then you would run into that lag and slowdown in multiplayer. So it sounds like they've still not been able to fully crack that.
I don't know. You know, when it comes to sports games, I've never felt a sports game that truly solved that. I think it will always be an issue on the inputs and the moment to moment and trying to get that connection. It will be interesting, Parris, in you and I's lifetime, right? 5 years, 10 years, 30 years down the road, will it ever feel different? Will it ever have that snappiness to it? Because it just hasn't yet.
Yeah, I do wonder on that. And then my mind kind of wanders into cloud streaming as a whole, right? Because that's part of cracking that code of cloud streaming gaming, is reducing latency. So that naturally would also apply into multiplayer games as well. I mean, you obviously run into that with fighting. And like you said, it's just sports games overall. So yeah, I mean, that's a little bit of a bummer. I think the only sports game where it doesn't matter is the golf games, because it doesn't matter in the golf game. But yeah, that's a little bit of a bummer to hear, because I knew Top Spin was coming back. And like I said, I had fond memories of it when it was, in its previous iteration. But it sounds like this one still needs a little work. So hopefully, maybe, this isn't a one and done. They can take some lessons learned out of this and iterate on it going into the next version.
Yeah, I remember Top Spin back in the day on the 360 and how much fun that was as a casual fan to just jump in. I think that's where it's missing, and I hope they figure it out in maybe an update where they can change the settings, because it really is all about the timing meter now. And I see that in 2K all the time with basketball. It is about hitting it in the green and being aware of your timing. I think there's just the approachability, the pick up and play of, you got to be able to turn that off and just have my mom smash X or my little brother smash B, right? Like, that is the point of a sports game, is to have anybody on the couch play. And I do love the skill gap and the learning curve that there is, and you can get better, but you can have that, but you also got to have the other part of it, and they just don't have it right now, unfortunately. Parris, let's talk about some viewer mail. We got some great write-ins from all of our fans around the globe that want to talk Xbox with us, but let's do that right after a word from our sponsors.
Kinda Funny turns 9 years old today. We could have made it 9 days without your support. That's why 2024 is all about doubling down on our shows and making it simpler than ever for you to get the most out of our content. Our revamped Kinda Funny membership is your one-stop shop for all our amazing content, which now includes on a weekly basis the Kinda Funny podcast, In Review, the Kinda Funny Gamescast, P.S. I Love You XOXO, the Kinda Funny Xcast, the brand new series Kinda Funny Game Showdown. 5 episodes of Kinda Funny Games Daily, and 5 exclusive Gregway vlogs.
And 5 days of streaming fun with me and the gang here in our newly revamped streaming space. It's going to be filled with a ton of laughter and a whole lot of shenanigans. We'll see you there.
That's more than 20 pieces of content a week from an 11-person independent team in San Francisco. That's a lot, and to get the most out of it, all we're asking for is $10. $10 gets you the Kinda Funny membership, and that entitles you to ad-free versions of the shows, the ability to watch the podcast live as we record them, and the exclusive access to my daily show, Gregway. You can get your Kinda Funny membership on patreon.com/kindafunny or youtube.com/kindafunnygames. Yes, we are expanding our Kinda Funny membership offering to YouTube so people can take full advantage of the platform they prefer. If you want to go above and beyond the Kinda Funny membership to support us, we will still have higher Patreon tiers, albeit with some changed up perks. We just wanted to make the message as clear as possible that the $10 Kinda Funny membership is for the masses to get all of the core content people love. Everything above that is very appreciated. The support means the world to us. You all are the best. But the $10 Kinda Funny membership available on both patreon.com/kindafunny and youtube.com/kindafunnygames is where we see the value of what we do. Kinda Funny is a dream come true, and we wouldn't have it without you. We hope if you've ever enjoyed the content, you can support us for at least a month as we prepare for our biggest year ever. Until next time, it's been our pleasure to serve you.
All right, Parris, let's have some fun. It's been a slow news week. And I thought, you know what? Let's reach out to the best friends all around the globe and have them write in with some Xbox questions, comments, concerns, what they want to see, because I think it's always fun to have a conversation with them and kind of talk about what they're seeing and where they're coming from and where we're coming from, and meet in the middle. I think is pretty dope. And so I've got a bunch of questions from all of you. We're going to rattle a bunch of them off. There's no particular order, so get ready. I'm going to hit you with some curveballs all over the place. We're going to go left, right, and center. I just grabbed them and put them in. I didn't think about a flow, so please bear with us as we just have some fun. But Stephen Y. writes in and says, what is the best experience you've had playing Xbox that you still think about, i.e. gaming with buddies? First game played on the OG Xbox, etc. Mine is playing Mass Effect 3 multiplayer every night with groups of friends I made while playing it. People I'm still friends with to this day. And Parris, we've had this question a bunch. I love asking you and Gary this question. And I think it's fun. I think it's cool for the viewers and listeners out there to kind of reminisce. I'm sure people are smiling going, oh, I remember that moment. Like, I love and cherish that. So, yeah, for you, Parris, what is some of your favorite gaming moments?
I'll start from the beginning. It would have to be Ghost Recon on the original Xbox, that multiplayer. That was one of the first Xbox Live enabled games. Man, just so many memories, Friday nights, jumping in with the crew, being able to go into that. It's like, I'm sure if you were to go back and look at it now, you'd be like, oh man, that was rough. But it was just a magical time being able to play that game back in, I guess that was 2002. Another one that sticks out in my head, and I think we talked about this in the past, but remember when Xbox had XSN Sports? So you had Fever and, basketball, all that stuff, but they had Lynx, the golf game, on there.
Oh my, Parris.
Man. Oh, we used to spend many a night out there on the links, man, out there on the green, out there on the course, playing Lynx. I used to love that game so much so. There was, I think it was through XSN, but I had joined like a league and was playing, like doing competitive stuff against people in Lynx. Yeah, great memories on that.
Man, shout out to Lynx, Parris. What a pull right there. That game rocked, bro. Oh, man.
I know we've talked about this in the past, Midtown Madness 3, being able to play that online with some people, just clowning around, having fun in that game. That was another one from the original Xbox days. Used to love to play. Clearly Halo. I mean, that goes without saying, but like I said, I know we talked about this stuff before, but I'll never forget that first night, that November 9th, midnight, going from going home, hopping on, jumping right into Zanzibar, man.
Oh,
Just playing all night, and obviously just all the fun playing for Halo 2. Because again, Halo 2 was just transformative as far as Xbox Live goes, console, online gaming, everything that Bungie was able to implement at that time, which still resonates to this very day. I love that. Obviously, that translating to Halo 3 and beyond. But yeah, those would probably be the ones that stick out to me for sure.
I love that, Parris. I love when you told me the story. It was either you or Danny Pena about Project Gotham, and now they had like the TV where you could watch other people's races
Gotham
going
TV.
on. How cool, man. I'm always blown away by that story, and I love Lynx is a great pull. I remember one of my friends' dad loved that game, and we would all play it with him. And man, Ghost Recon, GRAW, Advanced Warfighter, was one of my favorite games of all time. You could actually play that right now thanks to back compat. And like you said, it does not hold up well, but man, at the time, it was the coolest of games. There was this one mode I'll never forget. It was third person, but you had you could put a camera up and they would give you like a screen while you were there. And I would just hide behind a rock and I would watch the other screen that would have the view of the tunnel people would come through. And I'd just shoot people. And then I'd go behind the rock. I'd shoot people. It's like that game was so much fun. And then it led into Ghost Recon Vegas, which Vegas was so cool with all of those mechanics they had. Yeah, Rainbow Six. Oh, yes, Rainbow Six Vegas. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
What a great time, Parris. And so, yeah, that's a great call out there. I mean, for me, there's a couple. I want to give a shout out to my mom. I've told this story before, but shout out to moms, shout out to dads all around the globe for just being incredible human beings and parents. My mom sat out all night with me to go get the Xbox 360 at launch, freezing cold in the Boulder winter in November. And I will always be thankful for my mother for doing that with me, staying out all night, saying goodbye to me as I went to school the next morning, and staying there all the way through the purchase process at 9 a.m. plus. Then having to put up with Microsoft and Xbox, I'll never forgive you for this, selling the dumb Xbox Arcade Edition that didn't come with the hard drive, but we were one of the first 3 people in the line, so we technically got the one with the hard drive, but then, of course, they sold ours to some other kids, and so Mom came home with just the Arcade Edition with no memory drive at all, and I had to keep replaying NBA Live 06 over and over again because I didn't have a memory card, and how Mom had to put up with me screaming and shouting, went to go fix the problem, Circuit City giving us one of those little dumb 512 megabyte cards just to be like, we'll figure it out, we promise, and we'll be here, and man, shout out to Mom. You're incredible. I love you, Mom. You know that. And then tell me.
You just triggered a memory for me, because I'm trying to remember what it was exactly. First of all, it's amazing how far we've come from that era to where now they got terabyte SSDs and built into these things. But wasn't Xbox Live Arcade? I could be wrong on this, but wasn't there it wasn't 50 megabytes? That doesn't sound right. Was it a 50 megabyte limit on the game originally?
Yes, remember that? Yeah. That was the whole point. They made really mini games, I think. Yeah.
That's
crazy
insane.
Stuff. Crazy
that's a save file now.
And then my final one, I'll give a shout out. There's so many cool ones. I hope we're unlocking. I see LB in the chat right there. Sorry about that. You're too far away. But says, Mike just unlocked so many memories. I hope that's what we're doing for you.
Yeah.
But one more memory I'll share is the transition from Halo to Gears. I will never forget all of us loving Halo 2 and how important that was, going over to my best friend AJ's house and having the divide of the older brother and his friends and all of us in our friend group. We'd always play Halo together. And then there was this shift all of a sudden of us playing Halo, and there was screaming coming from the other room. And I'll never forget looking at AJ going, "What's up? What's your brother Phil doing?" And he goes, "Oh, he's on Gears of War now." And I was like, "What's that?" And then you would go in there and you would see the toughest, goriest multiplayer ever. And Phil is screaming at the top of his lungs about that game. And it was like, oh, there's something new coming. And it was Gears of War, and that weird, interesting transition of we're going from Halo, now we're playing Gears. And now, of course, we're playing everything. But what a special time it was, Parris. That was wild.
Oh, yeah, it was. I had even said earlier, me winning that contest to be able to go to the launch event for Gears. And that's when I first started podcasting and didn't know what the hell I was doing. And yeah, I was so excited. But one funny thing about Gears is I thought that was it as far as visuals went. I go, we're done. It'll never look any better than this. This is the peak of video game visuals. We can stop right here because I just remember how amazed I was that they were able to pull that off on a console at that time in 06. And, and I know it's the remaster and all that they've done now, but it's like I was playing that not too long ago. And it was still holding up from a visual standpoint. I should go try and play the original. I guess the original would be playable on backwards compatibility, the 360 version. I should be able to do that. I should try that just to see how it holds up now. But yeah, that was amazing time. I mean, when you think about, because the 360 came out in 05 and it launched with Project Gotham Racing 3, Perfect Dark Zero. There was a third game that came out. I'm blanking on it right now. But to think a year later, not even a year later, you had Ghost Recon Advanced Warfighter, Elder Scrolls, and then Gears. I mean,
come on.
All three just amazing games for the time.
Let's stick with the fun of Gears. Woody writes in and says, hey, X gang, with Gears 6 on the horizon, what would non-Gears franchise would you like to see that team work on? I think a new IP would be cool, but a coalition-made Brotherhood of Steel or StarCraft shooter would be absolutely nuts. Love you all. Waiting for Widow's surprise soon. What do you want to see from them? What do you want the coalition to do?
Well, I know exactly what I want to see, and I got the finger wag of shame online a few years back for suggesting this, but I would love to see the coalition make a Star Wars Republic Commando.
Oh,
could you imagine? It would be so good. And I forget what the context that we were bringing this up a few years back, but
I remember exactly, Parris, because you and I had the same idea.
Yeah.
It needs to be a Republic Commando Bad Batch game.
Yes, that's what it was.
Bad Batch was just coming out. Because I remember talking about it when they first introduced them in the last season of the Clone Wars, and then the first season came out, and you came to the same conclusion of like they just need to make this game, and the coalition would be a great pick for that. 100%.
Oh, they'd be so good. But I think I was saying it so much on social media, like literally someone from the coalition responded and was like,
"Shut the fuck up."
Yeah, basically.
That would be great. A weird, different other tangent. That show is ending with its last episode next week, and I'm very sad, but it's very good.
Yep, me too. Yeah, it was pretty good.
Man, there's so many things I want the coalition to make. They're so talented and incredible, and whatever they make, I'm sure I'm going to love. But here's a game for you that I really liked. The Order 1886. I know a lot of people hated or loved it. I liked the vibe of it, and I think it fit well with what Gears kind of looks like, that kind of hefty movement and really in your, like really close up visuals of everything. I'd like to see them do something cool like that. I'd like that a lot, but it's kind of Gears already.
Yeah.
What a talented team. Let's have some fun. Parris, Dex the Fox wants to know about the future. With it being almost May, doesn't it make sense for Microsoft to hold off on any Activision Blizzard Game Pass announcements till their showcase? Surely they have games on deck ready to add by now. I'm just thinking about an easy mic drop moment for them announcing a slew of games hitting Game Pass. It'd be pretty epic and has me incredibly excited. Do you think we'll get something of that nature?
I'm of two minds of this, because I've been saying for a while I was hoping that they would get out in front of this before the showcase and whatever Activision Game Pass announcements, things like that, they would have. Just get that out before the showcase. But we're essentially a month away now from the showcase happening. So I'm starting to doubt it. So it seems like that's probably when we're going to get it. It's going to be the June showcase. Because my thought on it was, let's not take a time away from other announcements they could have in the showcase. Let's get that part out of the way ahead of it. And maybe they still do it. I mean, we'll obviously see. But I would want that showcase to be dedicated to big surprises, new announcements, things like that. I don't need to know about, all right, all of Call of Duty is coming to Game Pass. You can tell me that ahead of time, in my opinion. So we'll see. Like I said, I could see it happen either way at this point because we're pretty close to the showcase.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I mean, we've been counting the days. We've been Xing off the calendar, and I think we're just too close to do anything before that. And it's at this point, it feels like, oh, we're just going to announce things there, which is the right thing for me, right? That's when you want to bring the hype. You want to have all the eyes on you and the excitement. And so I think June will be the time where we announce Activision Blizzard games.
Or you could do this. Jeff Keighley is going to have his own showcase,
of course,
on June 7th, as part of Summer Game Fest. Who's to say that Microsoft doesn't have a presence there, and that's where they do it?
Okay.
Why not?
Okay. I don't think we're having a roundtable. I think we're at the point now where there is no roundtable similar to what we had with Bethesda. And I also don't think we need a roundtable, because this next question comes in from Nolly, who writes in and says, hey, do you think that Xbox and especially Phil Spencer should communicate less because maybe too much communication is leading to bad messaging? And second, what are you hoping to see from the next Xbox showcase? So let's focus on the communication, because I think that's where I wanted to drive this with I don't think we need a roundtable anymore. I think we enjoyed that Bethesda one, but right now, with everything that we've gone through, I don't think that a roundtable is clearing anything out for me. It's more of a show, don't tell. Just show me what you want to do. Let's do that. I don't need you to run down, hey, in 6 months, 8 months, or maybe in the gray area, we might do this, we might not. Let's just get the games out, and you can tell me where they're going to go at this point.
So here's my take on the communication part. No, I actually would love to see them communicate more.
Ooh.
But I don't think it should be Phil Spencer. I don't think it should be Sarah Bond either. I think there should be other personalities within Xbox. Get more of those faces and those voices out there to do the communication for you. I mean, I know they're about to do the ID at Xbox thing with IGN here, I think next week or whatever, right? But there's other people at Xbox that they can use to represent certain aspects of the brand. And again, we obviously all love Phil and Sarah, of course, but when Phil comes out and says something, when Sarah comes out and says something, it should be a big deal, because it should be very rare that we see them. So the showcase obviously would be a time for that. But in other aspects during the year, I don't necessarily need Phil or Sarah to be the face of that. There's other people in the org that they could probably use to be that face, to be that voice, to communicate some of the other stuff. But, I've long said I would love to see them communicate more and be more definitive about things that they are discussing throughout the year. I go back to 2021 when I say this all the time. I feel like in 2021, it seemed like every damn day they were saying something, right? And they kind of scaled back away from that and haven't done it as much. Maybe just because they didn't have a lot to show or whatever. But I would love to see them be more routine with their communication about stuff. Clearly, the big events like the showcase, that's where you're going to have all that kind of stuff. They're obviously doing the developer directs, things like that. But these smaller things like an ID at Xbox, have more of those, the partner preview that they did, have more of those kind of things throughout the year where they're communicating about upcoming reveals, games, products, services, things like that. I mean, I know Xbox Wire updates pretty frequently, but having an actual on-camera personality, a voice actually communicating some of that stuff sometimes kind of goes a long way, in my personal opinion.
You're saying they need another Major Nelson?
Perhaps.
Okay. Yeah, it's interesting to me because you talk about that, and we can list off a number of things you just brought up, right? The ID at Xbox right there you also had, of course, the Xbox _developer direct. You have the Xbox Wire updating almost daily. You have an Xbox weekly podcast from the team over there. It feels like there's a lot of avenues that you are getting this information. Are you telling me you want maybe more of a condensed, this is the message, or it just seems like there's a lot already?
I'm actually glad you brought up the Xbox podcast, because I think that's probably what I'm thinking of more. And, and I watch it every week. I love Jeff and Tina and all them, what they do over there. But they're not breaking news. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. More, you could use that podcast more to kind of break Xbox news versus recapping Xbox news, if that makes sense, right?
Okay.
Whereas clearly they use that platform for the business update and everybody and their mom tuned in for it. But if you use that platform more to actually have breaking announcements of here's a new thing coming to Game Pass, here's a new thing that we're talking about, and have the person behind that service or that product there ready to go talking about it. That's what I'm kind of thinking. Okay. And look, I could be off. I'm sure the comments will let me know if I'm way off on this, but when I think about them communicating more, I'm just thinking stuff like that. Whereas I've personally felt that Xbox has been more reactive with things versus being proactive about it. And I do think they have the platforms to be able to be more proactive about some of their breaking news of products and services and things like that.
I feel like they've been more reactive from what we've seen because they don't have the things to show quite yet, right? We've kind of heard that messaging of like, we don't want to push anyone. We want to wait for them to be ready. And it just seems like we're not quite there yet of like, hey, we're ready. Okay, let's start this beat up. Let's talk about that. Hey, this team's ready now. Let's start that beat up. It seems like we're still in this weird phase of like, we're not there to have any. I mean, perfect example. We got nothing to talk about right now besides an Xbox Sweepstakes giveaway. It doesn't seem like there's something to talk about from them.
You know what it comes down to? And here's the example of what I'm thinking. Like at GDC, Phil had the interview with Polygon.
Yes.
And he's talking about stuff he would like to see from a handheld and all that. And we've obviously gone in depth about that and talked about it, right? Whereas that's not Xbox officially talking about, hey, here's where we're thinking we might go with a handheld or something. I would love to see. And this is why I'm saying maybe Phil doesn't talk as much, because whenever he talks, it is news. He could just be speaking from a personal standpoint, whatever. But when he says something, we're all talking about it, right? So if he's not officially on the record doing these interviews talking about it, you don't have that. Whereas, and I am blanking on her name, and we met her last June during the showcase at that Xbox Mixer thing.
Okay.
She was the person. Oh my God, I'm blanking on her name, but I think she's the head of the hardware division now. But she like the Rogue Ally and all that. She was on. She did that stream with Asus, and we met her. I'm blanking on her name, and I apologize. But I would love to see that. I'd love to see that kind of information about new hardware come from her, because that's her division.
Yeah, I like that.
I like that. Oh, stuff like that. That's what I'm thinking, versus the CEO or the president coming out and saying it, and maybe they're not officially announcing it, but guess what? We take it as they officially announced it, because they're talking about like Phil clearly is a gamer, and he was talking in that interview with Polygon about what he would like to see in a handheld and where he would like things to go. Maybe that is 100% what they're doing, but maybe it's not. Maybe he was saying that interview and everybody back at Redmond was like, wait, is that what we're doing? Or is he just speaking his mind about what he wants to have done? It's that kind of talk that I'm saying. Okay. Because speaking on the handheld, I'll just say it for the record, we all expect it now because we hear him talking about it.
Oh, man. Oh, yeah. Parris is right.
So let's say if they didn't do it. Now we're disappointed. Oh, man, I thought they were doing a handheld because Phil said X, Y, and Z. You see what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about. Whereas maybe he doesn't talk as much. Look, he can come talk to us, but maybe nobody else. How about that?
Yeah, I think there is a moment here where anytime Phil and Sarah speak, it is going to be looked at. It's going to be broken down. It's going to be thought about. And there's something missing there where it's like one level below that we're looking for. And I think they have the tools. They have the people to do that. It will be interesting. You know, you bring on Tina and now the new vision of what her and her team are working on. It will be very interesting to see what they can capture and what the audience wants. We kind of talk about that of like, a lot of the audience will watch some of these things and go, oh, that could have been a blog post. I don't want to hear that. Or, oh, I'm not interested in X, Y, and Z. Just show me the game. So I think there is also a delicate line of what do we really talk about? How much is going to get the good comeback? I'm interested, Parris. I'm interested in that.
Yeah.
Let's keep it going. Let's have some more fun. Another question coming in from Jeremy. My question is simple, Parris. Why haven't they updated the achievement system?
That's a good question.
What's up with this achievement system, Parris?
That's a good question. And going back to what we were just talking about, we've even heard Phil talked about that they need to update that. I forget his exact words or how he phrased it, but it's been a while. You would think we would be getting close to revision. You would have thought coming into this generation we would have saw an update to it, and we just simply have not. So yeah, it's overdue. It's time. I would imagine at this point, I wouldn't hold my breath probably until the next console generation that we see some kind of revision to it.
Yeah, for me as the non-achievement guy, right, I always kind of scratch my head and like, I understand there's a calling for that. There are people that want to see this updated, similar to how we see the dashboard constantly updated. We've seen so many things updated, and that seems to be the one system that's like not getting the love that it seems to deserve. But I would love, Parris, give me her name because I know you looked it up. Give me the name.
I'm going to butcher the last name, but it's Roanne Sonis. Am I saying this correctly? I believe, but we met her. We literally met her last year. Yeah. But yeah, she's the head of hardware over there, and that's what I'm saying. So hardware news, things like that, it'd be great to have her be the representative of that, because then you know it's definitive, because clearly that's what that team is working on.
I like that. But back to the achievements. I would love to see the pie chart. You know, I'm always a guy of like, show me the numbers, right? I would love to see the pie chart of like, this how many people are clicking on that achievement tab, Mike. This how many people actively seem to use it first off. And then these are the people that care, right? Because it's, in my mind, it's got to be so small. I rarely run into people who are like, yo, Mike, I love a good achievement system. I'm always trophy hunting, right? Like that number compared to the grand scale of things always seems tiny in my mind. So I just don't know. I can't wrap my brain around going, the achievement system's got to be top priority. I know it's a priority for some, but it doesn't seem to be the general audience. Maybe I'm off. Maybe I'm wrong on that.
Question from the peanut gallery. Like, what is it about the achievement system that is it just because it's been around for a while and it feels stale? Is it because 1,000 gamer score, what the fuck does that even mean? Like, and that's kind of where I'm coming at it from, where it's like, I liked achievements when I was on the 360, but I never felt like it was a bad system, but
yeah,
I think it's all the above.
Yeah,
personally.
it's that. I think it's that is right, Barrett. It's just like, it's just old. It's been around, and it is time to get a refresh of, are we still sticking with the 1,000? What are we looking at? How do we better display these achievements and show them? We had achievement art at one point. We also had moments where if you unlocked an achievement, it would take a screenshot of whatever you were doing at that particular moment. And so, yeah, I think there's just so many things that you might want or you could need. And I don't know who's working on that, who's even interested, but I don't know, Parris. I'm just not that guy. I'm not interested in that.
Yeah, it just feels like it's been around for a very long time. There's been some, lack of a better term, minor upgrades to it over the years. You almost feel like let's get an evolution of that. Is the number going up satisfying enough to you? Now, look, I'll fully admit when I get the music goes off and I get the little bash thing, I still get a little excited when I see that. Okay. But ultimately, what does that number mean to me? What's the gratification of that now, 20 years in, or whenever achievements started? I forget. I think it's what started with the 360, right?
Yes.
But yeah. So it'd be nice to see some kind of evolution of it.
Yeah. For me, I think it's not the achievement itself of like, hey, ding, you killed 1,000 raptors in whatever game. It is now the game share, or AKA the game capture. I love the ability to take a screenshot, to, hey, Xbox, record that and be able to get a game clip. I think that now is my achievement system of being able to clip that moment that was so special to me and share it with friends. And maybe that's something we could build into achievements to make them better, but it isn't hitting some crazy arbitrary number on a box to then have it pop up. I think I've always had the ding. It hurts my ears. It's too loud. It doesn't go with the moment at all. And so for me, I've never been a fan of it. I like what they've done with it, but yeah, I don't know on the achievement system. Like I said, I'm a person that you got to show me the numbers. You got to show me who really cares about this to make it a priority, because it seems like a dying off system. But I know there's people that are into it.
You know who I would love to talk about with this would be Rand.
Oh, the man with the million.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. That's his phrase. I would love to know what he thinks of the achievements now. Is that still a thing for him? Does that still drive him to want to play games, and what would he like to see? Because he would clearly be an authority on something like that.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to hear Rand's story and, you know, the burnout as well. I think he's talked about it, like slowing down dramatically after getting the million, right? You think about a guy like Stallion who has, you know, he has done it. He was the guy getting all those and still does it to this day. I think of Mako, who does all the tutorial guides for it. There's a number of guys and gals out there who are passionate about this, but me and Parris aren't those guys, unfortunately. And it's just not my cup of tea, you know? It's not my thing right there. Someone in the live chat says, cut Mike's mic, this achievement slander.
All right, I'm on it. You can't hear him anymore. You're welcome, chat.
Hilarious.
It's such an interesting system.
It does bring up one thing, just real quick before you move to the next question. Like, we know there's people that they like literally there used to be a thing called achievement hunters, but they will just go play a game just to get the achievements from it, just to get that number. What is the end game of that now in 2024? Is that something that people are still actively trying to do? I guess what is the gratification of doing that? What is, for lack of a better term, the achievement of being able to do that, other than to say, hey, I got X number now playing these games? But for me, I play games because I love to play them. I love to play something that I enjoy versus playing something just to play it because I can get a quick 1,000 achievement score out of it. You know what I mean? So again, I would love to talk to Rand about it because I'd be fascinated to hear his thoughts.
Yeah, and I think Greggy always touched on it so well. It's like it's also on the developers to make engaging achievements and trophies, right? Like the developers have to think about that, and that's a whole nother layer to all of this. Is they're making the game that might not be a high priority to them. Of like, got to make a killer trophy list, everybody. These are important achievements here. It's like I don't know how much that's being thought about as well. Is, you know, you got to do that, but you know, I want to make sure we all know I currently have 126,000 gamer score. Okay, I've crested the 100,000. That's a big deal. It's a big deal for someone who doesn't do it. Just want to make sure everybody knows out there.
What is that?
I've been doing that.
What's the conversion rate to platinums?
Oh, maybe two total. Two total I've ever 1,000%ed. Manhunter or Maneater, the shark game I loved, the shark RPG. That was my only 1,000 I think I've ever gotten. But yeah, I scroll through mine. It's like 2 trophies, 1 trophy, 34, 7. Like I'm just not that guy when it comes to it. And I also think it comes down to like, how are you showcasing these? How make it meaningful to me to want to do that so I can showcase it to Parris and everyone so they can say, oh man, like Mike did that. That's cool. You know, I don't get that enough.
Hey, Mike, actually, and this is tangenting off the viewer questions. I mean, I don't know how much time we have left, but one news item that did happen this week, because I'm curious what you think, was the Meta announcement about the Horizon OS Horizon, however you say it, and the fact that they are partnered up with Xbox and they are going to have a limited edition MetaQuest 3 that's Xbox themed. But beyond that, it sounds like Xbox and Meta are going to be working together on what? I mean, we obviously don't know. You know, as you did and I did, you know, we tested out cloud gaming on a MetaQuest 3. You know, a little laggy. I went back and I've tried it again. Still not the greatest. There's still a lot of work to do on that. But what are your thoughts on this? Do you see Xbox potentially jumping into VR now, like, you know, along with Meta as a partner, or is it just going to be, all right, cloud gaming and a limited edition headset?
I want to give a shout out to Dylan, who wrote in about the MetaQuest and wanted to ask us about that. So I'm glad that you brought it up because I was going to get to Dylan there. But yeah, it's interesting, Parris, because I am a VR enthusiast, in quotes, right? I'm not doing it every night, but I do love a good VR experience. And I did like what Meta and Xbox did where they teamed up together with cloud gaming to make that cool theater experience inside the headset. For me, it is tough, right? Because, yeah, I've always dreamt of the Xbox portable handheld, the Xbox VR headset. These are things you kind of run with in the gaming world and you hope and dream of. But I also have seen, you know, the VR world and what that landscape really looks like. And for me personally, I don't want Xbox to dedicate studios and resources to now chasing that VR dream, right? There are people who are dedicated to creating VR games with these VR studios that we've seen create very good ones that are talented and understand that and do that, but there aren't that many of them. And I don't want Xbox to now look at us and go, you know what, we told 343 they got to make a VR game. Or, hey, we took one of these 30 studios that you love, we told them you're making VR products now. I just don't see that. But if you could team up with Meta and them find one of their Meta developers, because there are developers under the Meta umbrella, and have them say, hey, what if we got you this franchise IP? What if you were able to tie it to a Halo or a Gears? Now you have my interest, right? I like the idea of like partnering with an actual Meta developer and doing that.
Yeah, I love that. I love exactly what you're saying, because my thought on it is, you know, I have a PSVR 2. I have the MetaQuest 3, and I'm one of the crazy people that bought the Vision Pro, supposedly. If you go by the news, nobody's buying it. But I mean, you know, I am a VR enthusiast, and it took me a long time to get to this point, and I see the potential in it. But I'm also with you. I would hate to see Xbox force a studio to start making VR games when that's not something they want to do. I want these studios to make the games that they want to make, right? If it be the traditional way, that's fine. If they wanted to do VR, that's great. But I like your idea of, if there's a Meta developer out there that has an idea for an Xbox IP, Banjo-Kazooie, and they want to go make it, let them go make it. Try it out, see how that works. You know what I mean? Xbox doesn't have to invest in VR hardware because Meta's taking care of that, right? Meta's also providing the OS to be able to support it. You're basically just licensing out your IP to a developer to be able to make a VR game. I'd be okay with that.
Yeah,
totally.
I like that. And you know, it's funny to me of like, I want a VR experience, right? That's what I'm looking for, is an actual VR game experience. I do want to give them credit, right? I was going to quickly be like, you know, it's tough putting on that headset and gaming for X amount of hours that you would normally do on the quote-unquote flat screen experience, I think is what the VR people call it, of like your normal TV, right? Of like, this is what it looks like. But man, I do got to give them credit. Cloud gaming with the home theater experience via the headset, if I had a significant other that was watching TV with me, or I didn't have access to a giant TV or couldn't do it all the time, that experience is cool. It works. It is a little latency dependent, of course, with the Wi-Fi and all that, but like, it is a very cool experience. If you didn't have a big TV and you wanted that, it is dope. But to me, putting on that headset for 2+ hours is difficult. It's hot. It's sweaty. It gets dusty around your eyes and nose, and it just doesn't quite make for the best experience. But man, when you find a good game, it's fun, right? I'm looking at Asgard's Wrath 2. That game was nuts. That game was wild, right?
It's really good.
If you can make that with an Xbox property, you're in, you know, that's dope.
Yeah. And like I told you, you know, a while back, is I connected Steam Link to the MetaQuest and playing Half-Life Alyx. Oh my God. But that's the problem. You have experiences like that. You're like, oh man, this is VR. I get it now, but they're few far in between. There's just simply not enough of them. So maybe Meta clearly is fully invested in this, and let's see where the partnership goes. Maybe we'll get some more cool experiences.
Like the partnership, yeah. I think the best move is, hey, here's our IPs. We'd love for you to figure out a good developer. Take one, make it cool. Like, I like the idea where we talked about with John Drake and Disney and all these different games of like, let people play in your sandbox with your toys and see what they create. I love that. So I hope that. Let's end the show with a fun one. This is coming from Kebabs, who writes in and says, simple question. What should the next Xbox be called?
I'm going to say get away from series.
I agree. I don't think we go series. I don't think the next Xbox should have anything to do with series.
And with that said, I have no idea. I have no clue. Other than I think leave series here in this generation.
Yeah.
Xbox whatever. I don't know what would be a clever name right now. Now, and this again dives into the weeds of if they do a handheld, if that's a part of it. Is it only a handheld? Is it a full-on console plus a handheld hybrid? How are you naming that? How you differentiate the two so people understand what they are? I mean, we'll obviously see.
Man, what an interesting one to be in that room and be like, what's the next name? And you're just like, where am I going to go with this? Xbox 720, Xbox Series Y. Like, yeah, I agree with you, Parris, of no more series. is there a moment, I'm sure we had this conversation before with the newest console launch of like, could you reset it and just be Xbox and then Xbox 2 and then Xbox 3? Or are we so far gone away from that you can't ever go back to that
late.
numbering right there? And so, yeah, now you get into something weird of like, is there a name with this? Like an actual word, like the ultimate box? I don't know. That's smarter people than me will come up with that.
Actually, I have a bigger question for you, slightly on the same lines. This generation, they did the X and the S. Your mileage may vary if you think that was successful or not to do the 2 hardware strategy. Do you do it again?
Yeah, you do the mobile/home and you do the true dedicated home is what I think you do.
Or is it just one? That's both.
Like it's just a Switch, essentially. The Switch is so badass that's just what it is, right? I mean, now...
Like, I can't remember, was it last week? I think we were talking about this with Khalif, but I am actually going to be very fascinated the next iteration, because obviously Sarah said, huge technical leap. What does that actually mean? Is that just AI machine learning? Is that more CPU, GPU power? I mean, we'll obviously see, whenever they're ready to announce it. But I'm actually very fascinated. The Series X, obviously the marketing, most powerful console, eats monsters for breakfast, the whole thing. Do they go all out? I mean, when I say all out, it is truly competing with a high-end gaming PC for whatever that calendar year would be, and we're talking $700-800.
That's how I took it, Parris. I thought we were stepping up, and I know I said that one of the first times we brought this up, and we all kind of gawked like, that's crazy, right? Because we've set the tone in the console market of it's not that, right? There's a kind of a limit here. But when you say all of that, that's what my mind goes to is like, we're going to sell you $1,000 box that's going to compete with the very best and give you all of this that you see, and it should be strong enough for hopefully years to come. And then you would pair that, in my mind, with a $300 to $500 mobile/home console that is kind of the standard of what you'd see from a home console, but it's on the go mobile. But if you want the biggest and baddest, you get that. It's a weird, delicate dance, because then I would look at you and go, well, just go buy a PC from NZXT and just get the NVIDIA card. That's going to give you the very best. Like, what a weird dance this team is going to be in to justify you and I of, hey, you need this $1,000 box. That's why. That's crazy.
Trust me, whenever the day comes and they're ready to start talking about whatever their next gen hardware is going to be, man, I would love to be able to speak with that team and understand exactly what we're talking about. What was the thought process that led you up to this moment, that this was the decision, this is the direction that you're going to go with this? Because I can see you can keep it status quo, keep doing it the way you've always done it. You could do something radically different, be super aggressive with it on the high end. Obviously, follow the Switch model with this hybrid. Like, what are they going to do? I think no matter what they do, it has to be as simple as I plug it in, I press the button, and I'm playing the games. You cannot make this complicated. Not that PC is complicated, but PC, well, hell, Phil was talking about it even on the handheld, but you can't make it to where it's a PC to where, all right, I got to install this and I got to go to hit the start button and then I go over here and this directory and can't have that. Console gaming is press the button, I'm playing the game. So as long as they can keep it that simple, regardless of whatever price point that they may land on and power narrative that they're going to try and sell us on, that ultimately the UI experience has to be simplified. It has to remain that way.
Have to.
Or as you said, just go get NZXT and we just
go buy a computer.
PCs.
I think that's what a fun one to bring up. And of course, we're going to get out of here in just a minute. But yeah, it's interesting, Parris, of like, if Sarah Bond and the team didn't say all that, hyping it up on the next giant leap forward, right? If you and I would sit in the room and pull back and look at the greater scope of things, you have the PC ecosystem with Xbox, you have the mobile cloud gaming, you kind of want to be somewhere in the middle. And I don't know if it's the home console. I think it's a Switch. I think it is something that is strong enough to plug into the TV and gets you all of that power, but it's also the pick up and move with it. And I think that's, if I'm looking at something of like, hey, Parris, we need this because of the ecosystem, that's where I'm leaning towards. But once you said all that, it's like, oh, shit, I guess we're making a giant box. I don't know.
So one more thing before we get out of here. Because again, this goes back to the Phil interviews and him talking about certain stuff. And he had mentioned it's going to get harder to subsidize these consoles moving forward. That made me think a couple things. Do you know who else stopped subsidizing hardware? The phone companies.
Oh.
You know who came from the company that started all this? Sarah Bond at T-Mobile.
Dang, Parris.
Just a thought.
Just something to think about, people. Just something to think about. Chew on that until we see you next week. That's my gaming dad, Parris Lilly, right there. I'm Snowbike Mike. I hope you had a fantastic Xcast. Thank you all so much for writing in with your viewer questions. We love talking with all of you. And like I said at the top of the show, thank you all so much. If you've made it to the end of the episode, listening or watching, thank you for supporting me, Parris, Gary, Barrett on the ones and twos, and the team here at Kinda Funny with the Xcast. We're so happy to talk Xbox with you each and every week. But until then, we'll talk to you next week, gamers. Have a wonderful one. Goodbye, everyone.